First, a disclaimer. Those of you who've read my posts know that I destroyed an external disk where all the files of this video were located on. So I had to reshoot this video. This video was fucking difficult to reshoot, so that's why the delay. Yeah. The funny thing is that I still pretty much remember all the text from the first time I was shooting it.
The sun is so fucking beautiful right now, but I can't shoot because then the shots look like this.
I feel as if this video is gonna be watched by some sensitive people whose opinions different from mine. So, if you're one of them, please stop watching. I address all the people who menstruate as girls and women in this video. So what's the point of me saying all of this? And obviously, CPC spoilers ahead. So, if you haven't read the Webtoon yet, go ahead and do it. Okay, all the formalities are done, now we can get to the fun part.
Cursed Princess Club is an original Webtoon series created by lambcat. The story began publication in 2019. It is currently one of the most popular within the comedy genre, with over 2.3 million subscribers. The series was completed on March 4th, 2024.
And over a year later, I am making this video as a tribute to my favorite Webtoon series.
Cursed Princess Club tells the story of Gwendolyn, the daughter of a Bastille king. She isn't anything like a fairy tale princess, however. She's got a big heart, but isn't particularly attractive and doesn't have a Disney-quality singing voice. One night, after hearing from her fiancé that she is ugly, she runs down to the cursed forest under their kingdom, where she stumbles upon the twisted world of the Cursed Princess Club.
This Webtoon masterfully combines comedy, drama, and a little bit of fantasy into a heartwarming and intriguing story. Not only it will make you think about serious topics, but maybe even about your own life. Not only it takes
An unexpected twist on the classic fairy tale princess trope, every episode also has great music too. So once again, if you haven't read the comic yet, I highly suggest you do. Now we are entering the part which only those who've read the comic will understand. While reading the comic, I noticed that PREZ'S, especially her curse, is quite literally a religious propaganda. It propagates cults, strong female characters, and the problem girls are still facing today in some parts of Asia. That is the practice of Chhaupadi. Hence, I did an extensive research to prove that this webtoon addresses this huge problem we are still facing today. So once again, take your pipes out, detectives, because today's case is going to be bloody. No! Cursed. No, wait, I didn't come up with a good joke for this one. To begin, let's start with the main character of today's investigation, the leader of the Cursed Princess Club, PREZ'S. Let's start with her name. Calpernia is most likely the variation of the name Calpurnia with a Latin origin, which means chalice or cup. One of the most famous people with the name Calpurnia was Caesar's wife, but unlike the humble and shy empress, Calpernia is strong and masculine. Let's take a look at her. While her real race is unknown, her tan complexion might represent a woman of either Indian or Nepali descent.
Instead of gowns and dresses, she wears a black pantsuit.
In medieval times, women often used unclean rags as pads, but
In the absence of underwear, it was difficult to keep them in place, so their options were to either wear red clothing or short.
and I believe PREZ'S wears pants for practical purposes, if you know what I mean.
Her blue hair is always tied up in a bun with a black tiara decorated with spider's web.
In the later episodes, we find out that she uses this tiara as a weapon. It's a full-blown breast knuckles. Or one breast knuckle? Whatever. In one article, I read that women in North India used dirty rags as deadly weapons. They would often throw these dirty rags at a road crossing in order to cast evil spirits. And anyone who would step over these thrown rags was seen as a victim of evil magic. And we have never seen how Prez gets rid of her pets. Now, in order to understand Prez, we first gotta address her qualities and her past. Calpernia was born in a Polygon kingdom as the oldest daughter of the Polygon royals, thus making her the heir to the Polygon throne. And it's pretty common for Nepali families to have many children. And as we take a look at the Polygon kingdom, we can see the beauty of its Byzantine architecture, an architecture style that was, and still is, prevalent in Nepal. She has always been this perfect girl who would always abide the rules, stuck her head in books and studies, and not leave the palace due to her royal tasks. She has always been locked in, just like girls in the menstruation huts are. With such a rigorous schedule, it was only a question of time before she overworked herself, which, in the end, confined her to the bed. Scientists in the 18th century believed that a woman should be lying in her bed in order to conserve her energy, which she was being deprived of while menstruating. However, Nepali women still have to engage in rigorous and demanding work. I found this one excerpt, which I believe to be from Wiki Fandom, that it is speculated she suffered from what is implied to be severe depression due to her stifled upbringing as the heir to the throne of a powerful kingdom. After ending up on a hospital bed, she made a nurse by the name of Asa. Asa is a Hebrew name, by the way. He was the one who took care of her, taught her how to cook, and gifted her a necklace from the Oval Kingdom, which symbolizes courage and honesty. In one of the episodes, Thermidora predicted that Prez was gonna marry a poor man, live in a one-bedroom house with a white picket fence, and have 4 children, showing off her clairvoyance skills, which are still favored amongst many Asians today. Calpernia's parents signed her up for an arranged marriage, which I believe still exists in Nepal today. That was the first time that we met Whitney. Now I believe is a great time to talk about Whitney. At first, we see him as an arrogant prince who thinks highly of himself. He comes from the monochrome kingdom, which is all black and white. In Nepali culture, the color black represents power and mystery, while the color white, as I'm sure all of you already know, symbolizes death. Pretty soon we found out that Whitney was an abuser as well as a harem lover. Even though it is not practiced these days, harem used to be a part of Nepali history. Therefore, we can assume that he was a rapist, and girls, while in menstruation huts, are also exposed to the danger of being raped. I have talked about his negative qualities, but I should not neglect the way he changed after he escaped from PREZ'S rage. Upon returning home, his brother wanted to poison him, just as Whitney wanted to poison Asa. But since he didn't drink the whole glass of contaminated wine, he didn't fully transform into a tiger. Tiger. What an interesting and inconsequential choice of an animal. In the neighboring country of India, tiger is the national animal, which symbolizes grace, strength, agility, and enormous power. And I believe this shows the importance of Whitney in this story. After his escape from the monochrome kingdom, he met with stoic male nurses who taught him mindfulness and meditation, after which he took a vow of celibacy and became a monk. All of this has changed him to the bones, and I believe there is a connection between Whitney trying to hide away from his feelings and the fact that being a monk actually suppresses our human feelings. He was also the new CPC member whom Prez mentioned in the episode 68, and supposedly the one in Nell's premonition. Prez didn't want to accept him into the club at first, but her feelings toward him changed later. Later on in the series, he was the one who gave her the period-stopping pills to help. But let's face it, it's a clear allegory on that women should hide away their periods, or even better, stop them. And the pills didn't even help her that much because PREZ'S still had to stay in the barn. She even admitted that the pills gave her headaches and cramps, but she still regarded it as a better option than having to deal with her periods. The sad thing is, this is how our periods are still viewed in our society till this day. In some ancient civilizations, like Maya, Babylonian, and Chinese, menstruation was viewed positively as a sign of fertility. However, some other civilizations viewed it as a witchcraft. Hippocrates, the 5th century philosopher and father of modern medicine, believed that menstrual blood could sink ships, spoil cheese, tarnish silver, and kill livestock. In the year 77 of Christ's era, Roman natural philosopher Pliny the Elder wrote his 37-volume encyclopedia book in which he spread the stigma around menstruation. In this encyclopedia of his, Natural History, he wrote that menstrual blood could kill insects, flowers and grass, and drive dogs mad. Just a glance from a menstruating woman could kill bees. Another frequently cited example of menstrual stigma is in the Bible's Leviticus chapter 15, verses 19 to 33. This passage asserts that a woman, along with anything she lies or sits on, becomes unclean until the evening. Even if a non-menstruating person touches either the menstrual blood or anything the woman has touched, they too will become unclean until the evening. This Chhaupadi practice forbids women to touch anything or anyone, as anything they touch becomes dirty and impure. They can't touch their family members, nor women, nor even their own mothers. They can't enter kitchens, schools, nor temples. Instead, they have to be secluded into the so-called menstruation hut. On the first night that Calpernia turned into a giant spider, she ate her whole ass fucking fiancé alive. And I believe this can be interpreted as an allegory on how dangerous women can be while on their period. And also, that they have weird food cravings. Later on, PREZ'S admitted herself that her biggest regret in life is that she ate a whole ass fucking man alive. And her quote, "rotten, deceitful woman I truly was," describes her feelings about herself. Another point to make is that in Indian culture, for a woman to lose her husband means that she is suffering from sins committed in her past life. Imagine how much worse it would be if the woman was the one who killed her husband, especially with the act of cannibalism. Her father then kicked her out of their kingdom while telling her straight into her eyes not to worry about it too much. They had multiple daughters for this exact reason. It is still a sad reality that even in families, the topic of menstruation is often shameful and taboo. Then he provided her with a vacation house located in a haunted forest in the Pastel Kingdom to live in together with her butler, Curtis. In there, she would have been secluded into a barn every single week, which represents the menstruation hut. Now we're entering the part which I wanted to investigate the most in my research. In some parts of Asia, there's this practice called Chhaupadi, where girls are secluded into the so-called menstruation huts while on their periods. Different sources state different meanings, but basically, Chho means untouchable or menstruation, while Padi is being or a woman. And what does it imply? Well, when a woman starts her cycle, she has to leave her home and go to a small, impractical Minecraft starter pack noob house with no windows, usually located far away from the village they live in. In there, they have to stay there for around 5 days until their menstruation ends. But it's worse for girls who first get their menstruation or pregnant women, because they have to stay there for 14 days and give birth in there. Girls also have strict restrictions on what they can eat during seclusion, limiting their access to dairy and fermented foods such as pickles. And have you ever seen PREZ'S eating a pickle? They are only allowed to eat dry foods such as rice. the lack of nutrition causes very serious health problems, such as diarrhea and malnutrition. In the episode 68, Prez commanded everyone to eat, and I believe she was being deprived of the nutritious food as well, which made her crave it and want to eat every single bite of it. Or maybe it's just her period cravings showing through. Who knows? Hygiene during Chhaupadi is also poor. Since many girls menstruate around the same time, they all sleep on nothing but a cold stone floor without any comfort. Baths are also forbidden during Chhaupadi because water is seen as a clean and pure source. And have you ever seen Prez take a bath? No way, they gotta stop this nonsense. And after their menstruation ends, they have to conduct the following ritual in order to return back to their village. First, they have to wash themselves and their clothes in water, after which they have to drink cow's urine in order to purify themselves. From diarrhea and asphyxiation to animal bites, rape, and eventually death, Chhaupadi poses a severe risk to women's health. And if a girl dies in the hut, it is believed to be infested with evil spirits. Thus, it has to get demolished. Well, in episode 140, her father told her that he was going to take down the vacation house. In one study, I read that if a woman is seen not following the Chhaupadi restrictions, she is blamed and ostracized for anything that goes wrong in the community. Which is pretty much what has happened to Prez. All of this has led the government to make the practice illegal in 2006. If someone is caught following the Chhaupadi practice, they face either 3 months in jail, 3,000 rupees fine, or both, which of course is such a horrible sentence. Yet, some villages still practice it today. Why? Well, I'm sure you've guessed that it's all due to religious beliefs. For example, it is believed that if Chhaupadi practice is violated, the family will face some kind of bad luck. And CPC members face awkward moments all the time. Real bad luck happens at the gala, where princesses break off their engagements with the princess. Also, all the CPC members are forbidden from entering the barn, which makes them believe that something bad might happen in there. But, as we already know, the whole Polygon family reconciled at the gala. There, her parents told her that they were trying to contact her all these years, while she lived in the assumption that they were still angry at her. Though later on we find out that her spiders were always chasing the mailman away. And after they reconciled, they told her the plan of how to cure her curse, which was by having her pregnant all year round. And don't you feel like it's common solution amongst many? And it's only after they told her their plan that they offer her to return back to the Polygon Kingdom. Because of course, if everything goes according to the plan, Calpernia will never have her period ever again. And I'm not surprised that she literally dies upon hearing all of this. And even though Calpernia's family is hard to bear, they still prove that they are loving, and Calpernia admits that she likes them despite everything. Now, let's move on with our investigation and talk about PREZ'S curse. Whitney intended to turn Asa into a small spider by poisoning him, and then killing him easily later on. But, by mistake, the poison went straight into PREZ'S bloodstream, thus transforming her into a giant spider. And doesn't it remind you of Spider-Man? First of all, I noticed that when she starts transforming, her eyes glow yellow, and they stay yellow all the time. The color yellow in Nepali culture represents knowledge and enlightenment. Spiders are often associated with fear and terror. And let's not forget that many of them are even toxic and poisonous. Which reminds me of one medical invention from the past. In the 20th century, scientists yet didn't have enough knowledge about menstruation. Thus explains where all the stigma and many myths were surrounding it. In the 1920s, Dr. Belashik coined the term menotoxins, which are poisonous blood and tissues released by menstruating women. And the belief remained well until the 1970s. Some other period innovations include replaceable pads by Johnson & Johnson, apparently Tampax by Dr. Earl Haas, and the Hoosier sanitary belt by Marie Kenner. And notice, these are all men who invented the period product. Well, okay, except Marie Kenner, these are all men, but Do you recall all these TV ads for pads and tampons? What color is the water they used to show the absorption of the product? It's blue. It's always blue. However, do you know when the first ad showing red liquid premiered? In 2017. Sanitary products have been tested since 1982 with the use of this blue water. However, do you know when the first test using the real menstrual blood was done? In August of 2023. If you remember, Pliny the Elder wrote in his Natural History that a glance from a menstruating woman could kill bees. And what are spiders known for? For killing and eating insects, including bees. Both CPC Wiki fandom and TV tropes say that PREZ'S spider form differs from a normal arachnid biology. First, her mouth is full of sharp teeth and mandibles. For comparison, normal spiders have these appendages called chelicerae, which are connected to the venom gland. Second, PREZ'S legs are sharpened just like crabs, perfect for stabbing, making it yet one another of her weapons. Normal spiders have these tiny claws at the end of their paws, which allow them to climb walls. And third, the square cube blow is ignored. But, as the CPC Wiki says, it might just be the coolness and magic of her curse. It took Calpernia's family a long time to find out what was causing her to transform. And after they contacted the doctor, he said that her curse was connected to the phases of the moon. But instead of calling menstruation by its name, he kept coming up with these different nicknames for it, such as her strawberry time, outflow visits, Shark's Week, Satan's waterfall. Not even her own mother understood what he was talking about. And when Aurelia saw PREZ in her cursed state, she said, "I will never complain about my period problems ever again." A sad phrase that girls often use when they find out about different girls' period problems. Not only is PREZ the founder of the Cursed Princess Club, she's also the most mature, level-headed, and competent of all the members. She organizes all the group activities. She gives the best advice. And she makes it her #1 priority to keep all the CPC members happy, healthy, and safe. She modeled her post-banishment self after a woman in a pantsuit whom, as a child, she witnessed protecting an innocent man from an attacker. Years later, though, she found out that this woman wasn't a woman at all, and he didn't even mean to knock the attacker out. Upon her banishment from the Polygon Kingdom, she took her butler Curtis with her and started living in the vacation house her father provided her. With the help of Curtis, she was able to fulfill her dream. PREZ has always been someone who wanted to help people. That's why she created this club for princesses with incurable curses who have been neglected. This was what she explained to Gwen in the episode 13, but Monica added that they were mostly just eating junk food and hiding away from the world. And I believe this shows that women are perceived as being crazy and unpredictable while on their period. We can also see that the Cursed Princess Club works pretty much like a support group, where PREZ acts as the therapist. PREZ has quite a complicated system of recruiting new members. First, her spiders inform her of the potential new member, after which she finds them, accompanied by Curtis. After that, the new member has to agree to these panda vows. These panda vows are 5 sacred commandments to which all the CPC members vow to obey.
P. Prince Charming is not necessary for a happily ever after. A. Assist others. N. Never tell anyone about the Cursed Princess Club. D. Don't go near the barn. A. Again, don't go near the barn.
After agreeing to these vows, the new CPC member has to survive the slumber party night, after which they can be accepted to the club only if all the members agree. This barn joke reminds me of Fluttershy from Bonnie Moth. Hey, 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 stay out of my shed. And the rule about not entering the barn is repeated 2 times. Otherwise, a member will be banished from the club. And do you know what it reminds me of? That's right! A quilt. And you all know that I'm quite familiar with cults. To further prove my point that CPC is a cult, I have found this one article which said that when a girl got her period, her friends congratulated her, saying, "You're finally a woman now," which made her feel as if she's joined some secret sect of society. The barn and the fact that nobody knew about its real purpose represents the fact that women should keep quiet about their menstruation and not talk about it publicly, not even with their own friends. The members of the CPC also said that they don't get invited to things usually, which proves that they're outcasts. However, they still often come up with sneaky little ways how to join any happening. Now that we've talked about the things that surround Prez, we can talk about her qualities. I feel that it's pretty obvious that she is a feminist. I mean, the fact that she wears a pantsuit, doesn't need a man, carries weapons all around her all the time, and that she's strong both physically and mentally all prove her feministic qualities. And I even found that Webtoon was selling this t-shirt with her posing while saying, "Support each other." Her pose resembling that of the famous "We Can Do It" poster. And that's not all, because she's not the only feminist in the Webtoon. The Pastel Maid is the definition of the suffragist as well as a feminist. In the episode 161, Maria and Lorena got their superpowers after the Pastel Maid screamed words of support to them. This represents the connection between all the women. As mentioned previously, she's a therapist as well as a monk. This is proved in the episode 40, where she's seen practicing daily affirmations with the whole club. In the episode 140, we see her practicing martial arts. Her being a monk further proves my point that CPC is a religious propaganda. She also has strong athletic proclivities. For example, do you remember how well she played ping pong with Saffron at the slumber party? Or how she was practicing martial arts in the episode 140? He was the one who suggested using a machete on Frederick after she heard what he did to Gwen, and considered killing Whitney after they reunited. I have also failed to mention that she is a great fighter and she fought masterfully in the war. And once, she even used tea as a weapon, after which she was writing that tea is not a weapon on a chalkboard. And last but not least, she even teaches the girls self-defense classes. She demonstrates her leadership qualities all the time. In the episode 32, she arranged a whole prom just for Abby. She also often teaches her own lectures, making her a professor. And besides her tedious, boring theory lessons, she also teaches the girls self-defense classes. And after Nell's premonition in which she said that a new member of the CPC shall die in a flash, Prez tried to prevent anyone from this catastrophe. While I believe it was a mistake on her side because they were focusing mainly only on this one problem instead of all the other ones, I believe this further proves her leadership qualities. And also that women are still perceived by many as being catastrophic and unpredictable. I also noticed that Nell's premonitions look like epilepsy seizures, but that's on you to judge. In the episode 68, Prez demands everyone to eat. While her loud order may be interpreted both strong and demanding, but it can also be interpreted as the craziness of women while on their periods. And towards the end of the series, she was the one who stuck the right things into Blaine's mind and made him choose another path than what his father has laid out for him. He was trying to reach for his sword to get rid of her, but she scared him away by asking him for a tampon. It portrays how men are scared of menstruation in our society still. Also, let's not forget that Prez is probably a lesbian. I mean, In the episode 32, she arranged a whole prom for Abby, where she took the role of her prince, and then it looked like Abby actually fell in love with her. In the episode 68, she even called her backup crush. Later on in the same episode, the following dialogue takes place between Abby and the hospital children.
You don't need to be rescued by Prince Charming, guys. I'm throwing this book in the garbage.
Why?
That's our favorite fairy tale. Because I'm gonna tell you an even better story about being rescued by a very tall, cool lady in a pantsuit.
Later on in the same episode, Syra calls PREZ'S club PREZ'S harem, which she denies at first, but we can interpret it as her not yet accepting her true sexuality. Oh, and once, she even admitted that Gwen's sisters were hot. Now we're finally getting to the topic, which was the point of this whole investigation. Where are we on the timeline? Let us assume that the spider curse in the comic represents menstruation in the real life. Prez hides the fact that she menstruates, just like all girls do, because society blames us for it and tells us to keep it quiet and to ourselves, and also because of shame. Her cycle aligns with the phases of the moon, just like most menstrual cycles. I want to point your attention to the fact that in many communities, girls menstruate all at the same time. But if someone falls off the rails, she can ask the moon to balance her out. Here we see another connection to the Chhaupadi practice, because all the CPC members live together in the vacation house in sync and balance, just as girls do in the menstruation huts. In one of the episodes, someone called their club the Unbreakable Bond of Sisterhood, which brought me to this book. But I didn't read it, so I don't know whether it's somehow connected to the club or not. And lastly, when Whitney gave her the chance to beat him up so they could become even, she instead lurched onto the spider cake Curtis has baked. And I believe this shows that Prez hates her curse more than Whitney. In other words, she hates her menstruation more than the society's view on it. All the main connections are on the board already, but every good investigator examines every angle from a broad perspective. So, let's make some more connections! That wasn't planned. There would be no Cursed Princess Club, and certainly no Prez if it wasn't for Curtis. As a man and Prez's loyal butler, he fulfills the role of a typical woman. He's a well-trained professional butler who also learned how to entertain at parties, thus making him a jester. He's also the one who leads the rigorous, sophisticated training in which teaches princesses how to act as one. And his choice of a weapon is a broom. In the episode 161, when Whitney was in danger of being eaten by the raged Prez, Curtis hit him with his broom while accusing him of using Prez for his selfish motives. Oh, and also, his blindness makes him wear glasses, just like anime male characters. Since we're talking about characters other than Prez, let me mention Jamie. I have found a connection between Jamie and Elle. To be more precise, Jamie is Elle himself. Why? Well, both of them are smart, and both of them always eat only sweet food. Not to mention, Jamie even became a detective in one of the episodes in order to investigate who was plotting a revenge against his sisters. In the end, it was Jamie's glow and the power of Leopold's and Jamie's love that tamed raged Prez in her spider form. With this, the author wanted to show the overwhelming power of men, who are the only ones who can defeat women on their periods. Or was it just a little joke made by the author for comedic purposes? Okay. This video is mainly focused on Prez, but I still haven't mentioned the main character of the series yet, Gwen. She plays an important role in the comic as well as in my investigation. As we all remember, she often sees a cracked reflection of her in the mirrors. Some pre-modern commentators warned that the woman should not look in the mirrors while on her period in dangers that it might crack. And since the timing of this comic is unclear, we can assume that Gwen only looks in the mirror while she menstruates. There is this small, yet very important episode inserted in the series. After consuming the poisoned apple, Gwen fell asleep, allowing us to enter her dream. It turned out to be a parody of Alice in Wonderland, where all the Cursed Princess Club members represent the roles of Wonderland's inhabitants. Prez was the Mad Hatter, while Whitney was the March Hare. Monica accompanied them in the face of a dormouse. And even in Gwen's dream, Prez constitutes the fact that she's a Mad Hatter because she gets a little crazy and erratic during that time of the month. This is a clear allegory on that women get all crazy and nuts during that time of the month. We can observe interesting Easter eggs as we take a closer look at the designs of the characters. Prez's head has a slip of paper with a formula for compound interest tucked into it. This references one of her financial grammar lectures mentioned in the episode 36. Jolie is the Cheshire Cat. Syra and Thermidora are Tweedledum and Tweedledee. Gwen is both Alice and Humpty Dumpty. And even in her dream, her face is all cracked and shattered, just like in the mirrors. And look, the CPC universe consists of different kingdoms, one of which is the Blade Kingdom. Blade is a pattern, and in Alice in Wonderland, we see recurring patterns all the time, like checking boards or playing cards. I believe all the characters weren't chosen randomly and they have some deeper meaning. But if I were to research all the connections, I would end up in a rabbit hole. And the ending here is quite unclear because I got so much into rereading the final chapters that I forgot to analyze this whole press propaganda religious thing. But one final message I want to unveil with this board is that in the end, Press decided to deal with her periods the old ways instead of using the pills, which symbolizes that she finally accepted herself for who she really is. And that is a valuable lesson we all have to learn from her. Or it's another propagandistic move from the author which reminds us all women to hide away our periods. This whole board proves that Prez is feminist and probably a lesbian. Her club is a cult and she's ashamed of her parents because of her period. That's why they lock her up in the vacation house, which represents the Nepali menstruation hut. And this whole board proves that... What did I want to say with all of this? This whole board turned out to be kind of complicated. Let's simplify it then. You might be wondering now, what was the point of this video in the end? Well, I'm glad I got to study this new topic which I didn't even know about. So, while making this video, I realized that I was researching mostly about Nepal and not India. So, I might have made some mistakes along the way. But then remember, if you want to support this indie creator, don't forget to share this video and donate to me on Ko-Fi. Until then, see you in the next video! Okay, that was dumb. Shit. Music is so